Hi, welcome to Nerdy Exotical, where we talk about society, culture, and different aspects of economics from an exotical perspective. I'm Nerdy Exotical, and today I want to talk about false wealth indicators. I think we all have in mind a certain picture that the media feeds us about what it looks like to be wealthy, and there's a lot of different ways and different lifestyles to actually be wealthy, which we can get into later. But today I just want to touch on what I would call false class or wealth indicators. And that the biggest three I can think of are cars, homes, and clothes and accessories. These are the very flashy, like in your face ways that a lot of people like to demonstrate that they have money. And when they think about money, especially if they're poor, usually when they're thinking about is someday I'm going to own this very expensive car, I'm going to be able to do uh, all these things inside of my large house. I'm going to have all this jewelry. But a car is usually one of the big first purchases. Cars depreciate very quickly. As you can see, 20 to 30% in the first year alone. So if you have wealth, usually you want to maintain that wealth. You also want to consider that besides depreciation, it's not really your property until you pay it off. In fact, there's a lot of companies, including repo companies, that specialize in reclaiming unpaid luxury vehicles, which means that even if you do get that fancy car, it could be gone. When it comes to homes, another thing you want to consider is that splashing on a large apartment or an expensive house means that this person has less money for other things. So they might have a big house, but what do their other aspects of their life look like? Do they go out? Do they get to do other things, or does it seem like they like to stay home quite a bit? That might be an indicator that they're actually house poor, which is a lot more common than you think. Another thing to consider is that it's actually not that uncommon to rent luxury apartments. It's fairly easy. So if you're meeting somebody and they're quick to have you come see them, and you don't hear from them again after they've invited you to this very fancy apartment, I wouldn't be surprised if they were just renting it or had gotten permission to use one of their friends' apartments, possibly while they were on vacation and they were supposed to be watering their plants. Another thing to consider is that it's also, unfortunately, very common still for there to be foreclosures, which means that even if they do get a place, it could, if they haven't paid for it in full, it could end up back on the market for auction. And as you can see on the screen, uh, these are some houses that you can use the link in the description to actually see for yourself that people have had to let go of and that other people can now bid for. So moving on to our next topic, and that is clothing and accessories. Clothing and accessories are, I think it's pretty common to see the joke about the Gucci belt. I've seen it myself on vacation in Hungary. There was a girl in a cafe, and I could tell she was wearing like a Primark polyester like jumpsuit with a Gucci belt and like oversized sunglasses. It was actually pretty hilarious. So there's a reason why it's kind of a cliche joke. I think we've all seen it. Leave a comment below if you have another example besides the Gucci belt. I know it's a little bit of a cliche, but I think it's a cliche for a reason. Also, you have to consider that there's fakes, or what they like to call them online, replicas. Um, this is also something you might see, let's say, in like New York, in Chinatown, or in downtown LA. I've seen a lot of women with replica designer bags, and they make a really good show of like flashing it. If you've ever seen a designer bag, it's pretty obvious that it's not real. But it still seems to give them a big kick to like flash it around. So those are kind of like the three biggest false wealth indicators. It's just a way of like showing that some people definitely put a lot more emphasis on performative wealth, just like trying to give across the idea that they're living a certain lifestyle. And these can be faked pretty easily, or if they are actually acquired, they could be acquired in such a way that it's very precarious. It's not going to be a long-term thing for that person because they don't have a clear plan besides just putting on the facade. So that's it for this topic, and thank you for joining. Until next time, I hope you move towards the life that you want with purpose. Take care.